hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 20 fall Dollar Tree DIYs for you. I put together 20 of my favorite fall DIYs that I've done here on my channel. I have a little bit of everything in today's video, so enjoy. I'm going to use one of these wood bead wreaths from the Dollar Tree. I always buy these and I never DIY with them, so I had an idea of something that we can do with this one. So I want to make a little burlap flower like sack to hang in it, like about half of the wreath. So I'm going to use one of these little burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I love crafting with these. They're so easy to craft with. I do want the flat edges along the top of the bag. So I'm cutting the thread to cut the handles off so I can go ahead and keep that. And then it's going to be super easy to make a little half round, if you will, like little pouch. So I just lay my wreath form on there so I can kind of see what shape I need and trace out around there with a Sharpie so I'll know about how big I can make it. And then I just go back and cut inside that line. And then it'll be big enough where I can glue it to the back of the wood beads there on the bottom of my wreath form. Kind of like that. And I think that's going to fit nicely. So the first step in this DIY is we have to create the pouch. This burlap bag has like a plastic lining on the inside, but you can still kind of hot glue with it as long as you act quickly. So I do hot glue all the way around the arch shape, leaving the top part open so we can fill that with sunflowers. See our little pouch? Super easy to make. And now the sunflowers. I thought, I have those little sunflowers from the Dollar Tree, but they don't have any kind of stem. So I thought some of this wire jute from the Dollar Tree would make really cute little stems. And it's going to make the sunflowers stand straight up like we need them to. And so I just start cutting those down to size. Not really measuring them, but some shorter, some longer. I'm going to kind of like stagger them a little bit. And then I can attach these little sunflowers from the Dollar Tree. Now, these already have wires on them as well. Kind of like the items we used on the wreath, which is going to make crafting with these even easier. Originally, I thought I was going to hot glue those on, but since they have wires, I might as well go with it. I decided I wanted a total of 5 sunflowers in this little bead wreath. And so I just take the existing wire that's on there and I just wire it to the wired jute like that. So they'll stand up like that, facing front, kind of like a sunflower. Now, the wire on the little sunflowers is a little bit longer than you need. So I did start trimming it up just a little bit before I wound it around there. So I didn't really have to hide anything. And I'm going to have these kind of going in differing lengths, like peeking out of the little burlap bag. But wire to wire on that, pretty sturdy. And I think they're going to stand up nicely on their own. And I saw like a similar project online and they use the grass skirt from the Dollar Tree for a little grass. So I thought that would be a really cute idea too. So I had a little grass skirt handy left over from crafting another DIY. So I might as well use that for raffia. And this is what I was talking about that you could use in replacement of the raffia that I got on Amazon if you didn't want to order a whole roll. So we have a little grass cut down. And then I remember Dollar Tree now has these burlap leaves. So that would be perfect for our little sunflowers. They have different sizes, small and large. They also have like tan or white. So what I want are these, the little tan ones. And it worked out perfectly because I needed 5 and there was 5 in a package. So I'm just going to hot glue those, kind of alternating which side the leaf is coming out. Also alternating like where it's at. So they'll all like kind of stagger nicely when I go to put these in the little flower pouch. So all 5 of our little burlap leaves on there. And I'm really glad I remembered I had those. I think that provided a really fun touch. So the first thing we're going to add to the pouch is the grass. So I'm just kind of staggering that out, or we can have like little raffia grass like coming up in between the sunflowers. Just another little fun texture. I decided just to double up a couple of them just for a little bit of variety. And now it's just a matter of hot gluing these all down. At first I was thinking about using something but like a little lightweight for the glue, but nah, I went ahead and used hot glue on this too. So I just hot glue those down. Again, I'm using like 2 in some sections just to make it a little bit thicker. And definitely 1 piece of grass between each flower is kind of how I'm laying it out. And then I decided to trim them all different lengths so they're not too crazy. Now it's time to attach our sunflowers. I start right here in the middle, kind of hot gluing that into place and gluing the bag around it. Wanted to kind of check how high I could get it. Probably needs to go down a little bit, and my hot glue was still wet, so I was able to move that down a little bit so it's not too tall. I think that looks cute. And I want like the sunflowers, some of them to be up, some of them to be down. So I'm just going to kind of alternate up and down, hot gluing those right into place. And when I'm hot gluing those down, I'm also gluing the burlap pouch down on top. We'll kind of seal those all in there as with the grass. But I wanted to get them all lined up first and then just glue the pouch shut. It's so cute, isn't it? Now to decorate the front of the little flower pouch, we're going to use some of those leather words from the Dollar Tree again. This time, we used Bless last time, so we're going to use Grateful for this one. And it fits on there perfectly. I love the leather on the burlap. The textures are great. And I just hot glue that down to the burlap bag. Now it's time to put it all together. I'm going to leave the wood bead round unfinished like this. I think it's so cute. I just need to attach it to our pouch. And it's going to fill up half of it. And the 2 outside sunflowers are a little taller than the wreath, but that's okay because they can kind of peek out on the sides like that. And I just attached the wood beads down with hot glue. Kind of sealing it all together, making sure none of my sunflowers get hidden there. This is a really easy, fun DIY to put together, and I think it's just so beautiful. I don't know if I have the link to or I saw something like this online. If I can find it, I'll post that in the description below. But they definitely inspired me to make something like this, and I think it turned out so cute. I just used twine for the top to make a simple hanger. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so sweet. I love all the burlap. The little bright sunflowers are so cute. And the addition of the little burlap leaves, I think, really kind of make this DIY. Again, this would be really cute hanging on your front door for fall. Or it's kind of a little bit on the smaller size for a wreath. So I think I'll use mine either in my kitchen or in my entryway. Sometimes I like to decorate even like the door to my garage. That might be cute there as well. But I really love the sunflowers on this one. Hey guys, are you enjoying today's video? If you are, be sure to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do better here on YouTube. Up next, we're going to use one of these $3 Dollar Tree Plus pumpkins. Had to go a couple towns over, but I was really impressed with like the fall and Halloween at a Dollar Tree Plus. Look how large and detailed this green pumpkin is. I think it's going to be perfect for this DIY. Now, this is what we're going to use for this DIY. It's sisal twine, and I did not get it at Dollar Tree. I couldn't find anything like this at Dollar Tree, so I did have to go to Walmart for that. I think it was about $4, and you get this huge roll. And what I want to do with this is make a little sisal woodland animal peeking out of the pumpkin. I thought that'd be really cute. And then I decided which woodland animal I wanted to do. And I decided I wanted to make a raccoon. So let me show you how I did it. It's my first sisal animal. I've bought these before. I love them, but I wanted to see if I could recreate it. So I start with aluminum foil. I tried a small piece at first and it just wasn't large enough. So I got a way bigger piece of Reynolds wrap. It can be any kind of aluminum foil. And I'm just trying to shape it into like kind of like a head or a snout of a raccoon. So I kind of don't really care. It can be flat on the back, but I just kind of want to have a little bit of a pointier snout like a raccoon would have. But this is the basic shape that I came up with. I went online to try to find out how to make the little sisal animals because I love them. They suggested aluminum foil and pantyhose, and I'll try to find that video and post it below. They had a lot of great ideas. And so I'm just using old pantyhose, like any kind of a flesh color would be good. And I just cut off enough to go over the whole thing. And then it's just a matter of hot gluing the pantyhose just to go up next to the aluminum foil. You don't want like lots of overhanging fabric. The pantyhose works great because it gives you something to glue to besides the aluminum foil. And it just gives it a little bit more shape here. So I just glue down all the loose edges. And if I do have some excess nylon, I just go ahead and trim that off. So that's the first step of a raccoon. It doesn't look like a raccoon, does it? Now, this DIY, I can't say it was easy. It was harder than I thought it was going to be just because it's time consuming. But I'll take you through all the steps of it because it turned out so cute. It's like one of my favorite DIYs I've ever made. So this is the sisal twine. I was trying to figure out how I could create this little guy without like actually having to cut and glue on each individual piece of sisal. And I really couldn't come up with any good ideas. And so that's what it's going to take. So I just start taking the sisal twine and I start cutting it. I'm just going for like larger than 1 inch. I'm not really measuring it or anything like that. Just trying to get about the same size. And then I just put a little band of hot glue down and working quickly, I try to lay as many of those as I can, facing towards the back. The back part there is the straight part is like the back of the head. And so I'm going to have like overlapping sisal twines. So it'll kind of look like fur in the final project. So I just went ahead and did 1 row for the back and then lots of cutting and gluing on this project, probably lots more cutting. I'm getting all those little individual pieces. Now, you don't have to use sisal twine, but I really wanted it to be authentic. When I looked online, there was different kinds of fibers that you could use, but none of my stores really carried anything. Other ideas were like flax fiber, coconut fibers. There were some other ideas that you could use for this, but usually they use sisal. Now, I think that the sisal, it's pretty thin, but I don't know if it's quite as thin as some of the ones that I have actually bought pre-made, but I think it did a pretty good job. So as you can see, I'm just doing 1 row at a time. I'm doing the top of the little raccoon head and I'm slightly overlapping, making the hair go back towards the back of the head as I work my way up to the little snout, the little nose here of a raccoon. And I'm just doing the top part just to kind of get my bearings here. If you wanted to go all the way around with each row, you could totally do that. So now that I got the front done, I'm just going to go ahead and do the sides. And I'm going to overlap them and kind of continue that same line that I did on the top. Now, I did have less room on the bottom because of the shape of it. So I'm kind of glad that I did the top and the bottom separately because I did do less rows on the bottom and it made it a little bit easier and you're not really going to be able to see it down there. So this is my other side, just 1 piece at a time here. I do try to put a band of hot glue and so I don't have to hot glue every single one on, but I got the top, both sides done, and then I did a little bit more here on the nose to fill it all the way in. This little guy turned out so cute. My son was home visiting for college for Labor Day weekend. His friend had a party and I was so happy to see him. So I was so glad that I had somebody to show this DIY to because he's always my biggest fan. So this is the bottom. I think I did like maybe only 3 rows on the bottom. It really didn't need very much. And now it's time for a haircut. Everything seems to be really secure. And so I'm cutting like against the grain and just trimming all over just to try to shape it up a little bit, just to make it look more like raccoon fur, I guess. And again, it's a little thicker, you know, than you would traditionally see for fur, but it totally gives you that same vibe that you get from the little sisal animals. Next up, I just need some thin cardboard. So I'm just going to use a food box like from some macaroni and cheese. And I'm just going to cut out 2 little raccoon ears. They kind of have an ear that's shaped kind of like a cat ear. So I'm kind of thinking cat ear here with like a rounded triangle. And I'm going to need 2 of them. So I'm just trying to cut down 2 of those about the same size and to scale for our little head. Now you could cover that with pantyhose first, but I didn't think it would really be necessary. So again, I'm just taking those little sisal pieces and hot gluing them into a triangular shape here. Just trying to fill up as much of the triangle as I can with those. And since it is an ear, you might be able to see it from behind. So I will have to flip it over and add some of the sisal to the other side too. But this is the first side. And I'm just making them longer than they need to be just because my pieces are a little bit longer, but I can always go back and trim them once I have them all glued down. So this is the back. Mine was blue from the box, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to paint these because I want it to be like traditional colors for raccoons. So I don't think that's going to matter. So I just trimmed my 2 ears and we're only going to do the raccoon head. So that is all the construction on that. I know that was a lot. So now it's time to paint our little raccoon. The first step is I'm going over everything with just some white acrylic. And I am using a Dollar Tree brush to kind of like get down in there between the different fibers, especially since I have kind of like overlapping rows. And the pantyhose doesn't show like through too much, the nylon, but if I can, I try to kind of paint that white as well to kind of make it all blend in. So I'm just going all the way around this little raccoon head. I was like about halfway through this project and I was like, man, I don't know if this looks anything like a raccoon. It really didn't to me, but it came together so cute. I can't wait for you guys to see how it turned out. So once I got the snout painted, I do the same thing here with our little raccoon ears. Just giving them a nice coat of paint on everything, trying to cover up the cardboard that was behind it as well. Now for traditional like raccoon colors, I want my raccoon to be gray. I kind of had a little bit darker color gray, so I'm just lightening it with a little bit of white paint. And then we are going to paint like the back part here of a raccoon head, the like last 2 rows there on the back of the head, that gray color. And then a little bit between the eyes there. That's going to give me that classic raccoon face. He's going to have like the white face with the black markings, but a little bit gray there on the back of his head. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint the ears too. I kind of did the white on these just to kind of give me a base coat to cover up the box and everything. So I just do gray all over those and we will paint those different colors as well. So the inside of the ear, we are just doing white and I just paint like a triangular shape of white acrylic in there. And then I'm going in with black. Now raccoons have like, you know, the black area around their eyes. I'm going to kind of have it like be where the eye is and then it kind of go down like a cheek part with the black, trying not to get it too much out of that little general area. And then I turn it over and do the same thing here with the little raccoon markings on the other side. We're also going just to DIY the little raccoon eyes and nose with some with an item from the Dollar Tree. So that'll be nice and easy too. Now I was trying to find something that I could use from the Dollar Tree. I thought about like unwinding They're brown rope, but it kind of gives you like a curvy texture. I even thought about trying to dismantle some burlap ribbon. But in the end, I'm glad that I went to Walmart and just went ahead and got the sisal because sometimes Dollar Tree doesn't have everything that we need for crafting. Now for the ears, as you can see, I just painted a little black triangle on the middle, and we are going to attach those with toothpicks. So I just hot glued toothpicks to the back, and then I just poke my little raccoon ears right inside the aluminum foil head there. And I do the same thing with the other side. The toothpick really keeps it in place. I didn't really have to use hot glue for that step. Okay, it's time for eyes and nose, and I'm just going to use some of this Model Magic from Dollar Tree. I didn't have any black, which was surprising because I have lots of colors, but I had white, so I'll just paint it, no big deal. I just take a little tiny piece of the Model Magic and just do a little triangular nose, kind of like any animal like that would have, and kind of round it, and then 2 tiny pieces for eyes. They kind of have larger eyes that are round, and so I do 2 little round eyes and just kind of checking on my nose, trying to make sure it's not too big. I didn't carve any nostrils or anything in it. I thought that was a little bit over the top, so I'm just going to attach it with hot glue, and that Model Magic does get hard over time. I've DIY'd with it a lot, and I always love the results. Now right here where the little black eye spots are is where I'm going to hot glue on our little eyes. And mine aren't hard yet, but they will harden up. But I can still go ahead and paint them at this point, and so that's what I do. I just use a tiny brush, and I am going to paint both of our little raccoon eyes black. And I'm also going to paint the little nose of the raccoon black too, just trying to make sure that I don't get any on my little raccoon face. What do you guys think? Isn't he so cute? I absolutely love this little guy, and I want him like he's inside the pumpkin peeking out. So I use like the little raccoon head for reference, and I just kind of mark out how big I'm going to need the hole to be because I don't want it to be too large. I just want him peeking out of the hole like there's just enough room for him. So now it's just time to carve this Dollar Tree pumpkin. I just used a small knife and just started carving. It is solid with styrofoam like all the way through, but I initially got my little bit of opening here where I could carve that out, and then I can go a little bit deeper because I do want it to be inside the little pumpkin peeking out, and I want it to have plenty of space for his head to fit in there. So I just cut it out a little smaller than needed and then just made it a little bit larger with the carving until he fit in there perfectly. The styrofoam is a little messy, but I was able to carve out enough space for him. And I also want to do enough space for like 2 little paws sticking out underneath of his face. I thought that would be a really cute touch as well. Maybe a little bit more, and I think we're ready. Now for his paws, I was thinking popsicle sticks, and I grabbed a couple different sizes, and I think the smaller one there is the one that I'm going to choose. I think that's going to be a really good scale. These things are so easy to cut. You can just cut them with scissors. I just cut 2 down. I want the little rounded ends because they remind me of what paws would look like for this little guy, right? So I do have to cut down some more sisal and hot glue the sisal to it so I can give it like the same kind of fur that the raccoon had. Kind of forgot about that when I was doing the other part, but you could totally do this step in advance while you had everything going for that. So I just did 2 rows overlapping with the fur kind of pointing down for the paws. And then I just go back with my scissors, give it a haircut, and trim up the paws to kind of give them that paw shape. And they're just going to be one color. So I'm just going to do gray paint on these, and those will be ready to go. You're not going to be able to see the back of them, so I don't really need to do anything back there. And I want it to be like he's peeking out of the pumpkin, maybe a few fall leaves too. I think that will look really cute. So there's his paws. I got those all completed and dried, and now we can start putting it together. I was trying to decide what kind of leaves I wanted to use. I wasn't a big fan of these bold colors with this little guy, but I thought I would try it out. And I decided I wanted a little bit more neutral color. Even though I have a lot of color with that green pumpkin, I thought these leaves from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. They're like kind of a golden and like tan color. I think that'll be better. So I think 2 leaves is plenty, just to kind of peek out the bottom here where he's going to have his paws, just to give it a little touch of fall. So I just hot glue both of those in our little hole we carved in the pumpkin. And then the paws can kind of sit on it like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue those in place. You could add them later. I'm just going to go ahead and add those now. And then I have to figure out a way to get my raccoon's head to stick to the pumpkin. Now you can use any kind of dowel for this. Sometimes I like to pick up things on clearance, like these cuticle sticks, because I like to use them for crafting. And it's basically a dowel, and it's a nice small size, and that's what I use. I just put it in the aluminum foil head, and then I just stab through the foam there in the pumpkin, and he fits nicely in there. I want him tucked in the pumpkin a little bit, so it really gives you that effect that he is peeking out. And this is how he turned out. Isn't he just the cutest thing? I have such a soft spot for raccoons. I know they're pests, but they're so cute. My son's campus has them, and we've seen them a couple times there, and he always gets a kick out of them as well. But this is how it turned out. My little sisal raccoon creature for fall, my little woodland animal, peeking out of a Dollar Tree green pumpkin with a few leaves as well. And I'll give you a closer view of this too, to kind of show you the different dimensions of this guy, because he's just my favorite. He might be one of my favorite DIYs I've ever made. I absolutely love him, and I'm totally on the bandwagon. I totally want to make more like little sisal animals like him, because he's so cute. Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to use some of the wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. I decided on the medium size one, and then I also found that great mushroom sign at the Dollar Tree that's made out of metal. Now, it's really easy to break these. You just kind of have to find the area where it comes together. And I thought I was going to need tools, but I didn't. I just bent it back and forth, and it just popped right open. And I thought we would do that because we could string this entire wreath with Dollar Tree mushrooms. I picked up a package of red, a package of brown, and a package of yellow. They also come in blue. And I'm actually just going to stab the wreath form through them. So you do have to push kind of hard. The stem itself was pretty easy, but to get it through that second part, you do have to apply a little bit of pressure. I noticed even though I was going through the center of the stem, it does kind of come out the side of the top, but that's okay because I kind of want the back of the mushroom to be a little skinnier so it'll lay flat against my wall, because we're making a little mushroom wreath for the wall. Now I'm going to be using all of these, so a total of 9, almost fills up the medium size wreath form perfectly. And when I say medium size, you buy these in a 3-pack. There's like a small one, a medium one, and a large one. And this is such an easy way to attach these. Just have to give a little bit of muscle to get that cap on there. But otherwise it just goes straight through. It also breaks the foam at the top a little bit, but you can kind of push that back in without much damage. So we're going to just keep stringing them. As you can see, I'm just doing the same pattern over and over. And so you have a consistent pattern. Now, when I get them all on there, I do try to push the foam back in the tops anywhere that's broken. And we're going to do the little metal mushroom sign in middle. I think that's going to be perfect. To cinch it off, I just go ahead and put the little wire into each one of the mushroom next to it. Add a little hot glue to keep that all together. The foam mushrooms themselves are very lightweight, so I don't think it's going to be too hard to keep this together. And then I tried to space them out a little bit because there is a little bit of space between each mushroom when you use a total of 9. But you get a perfect pattern like that if you wanted to do these colors. And then I want to hang this little metal gather mushroom sign right in the middle. I love mushrooms for fall. I think that's a really fun design idea. I'm going to take some Dollar Tree twine and tie this off. And then I'm going to tie that around the wire wreath form. Now, I should have tied it before I tied it on there to keep good spacing because I cut it nice and long so I can also use this for a wreath hanger. So I knotted it, made sure that it was hanging even, but I should have knotted it underneath the wire too. And I'll show you what that causes here in a minute. So I got that hanging on there well. And then I just tied this again in a knot to make a little hanger for our wreath. And that's when I realized I should have tied it below it too, because when I hang it on the wall, it's going to move this up. So to prevent that from happening, I just added a little hot glue there to the back. And then I also go in there with some twine to kind of tie it off to make sure that my hanger does not move up when I tie it off or when I hang it on the wall. So I'm just going to wrap another piece of twine around right here at the base. And that's really where I should have tied a knot. I kind of forgot to tie that one. But problem solved. And this is how it looks so far. I thought it would be fun to kind of fill in the little areas between all the mushrooms to give it a more natural touch. You don't really want to be seeing the wire through there. So to do that, I'm going to use some of that brown moss from the Dollar Tree again. It's not going to take much. And again, this is kind of messy, but I thought if I glued a little bit, I could keep it in place. So I just add some hot glue here to the gap between the mushrooms and just put a tiny bit of the brown moss, gluing it in place. And then we're just going to repeat that between every single one of the mushrooms. It just gives it a little bit of a natural element. And this was, I kind of had this vision in my head. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull this off, but such an easy way to attach those mushrooms to a wreath. And it actually hangs really nicely on my wall. If you wanted to hang it on your door, you totally could. But again, it's a little bit on the smaller size, being that medium-sized wreath form. So we got all the different areas with moss in between. And I think it's a great way to use that little gather sign as well, which is super cute. It's very colorful compared to a lot of the DIYs we're doing today. But again, we have that natural fall element because we're representing moss and mushrooms for fall. And I loved that little galvanized metal sign. I just knew I needed to find a DIY so that I can incorporate that in my fall decor.
Hey guys, I would love to see your DIYs and what you've been crafting too. So be sure to join my Facebook group. It's always linked in the description of all of my videos. It's a private group on Facebook where we all share what we've been crafting, and I would love to see what you've been working on as well.
Okay, the next DIY, we're going to DIY one of these Dollar Tree foam pumpkins. I always prefer the white ones. I find them kind of the hardest ones to find, especially if I'm going to use something that you can kind of see through, which I am, because we're going to use burlap on this one. So what I do is I just pop off the foam stem, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to cut, a fairly decent size hole here right in the top. And then we're going to use Dollar Tree burlap to wrap that. So I'm not going to iron in this one because I don't think it's really going to matter because we're going to be wrapping it tight around this pumpkin anyway. You really kind of need a square, and the burlap is kind of a rectangle. So I was kind of seeing how much I could cut off the burlap to save for later, and it was about this much. So I'm just going to try to cut a straight line here. This is what makes it easier to starch it, is when you go to try cutting it and it's all folded up on you. But we made it work. And now I have a square of burlap that we can cover that pumpkin. And I wanted to do a fun little burlap and succulent pumpkin with this DIY. And it was so easy to DIY. Now, as you can tell, the sides are a little short, but that's okay. I'm going to use my hot glue and just glue to the foam just as high as I can get it on both sides. And I'll have enough overlap from the other side to get that to cover. This side was kind of falling apart on me, but I kept trying and got it glued on there. Now this side's plenty long enough, And so I'm just going to go ahead and start shoving that in the middle using my scissors. And I do that from both sides. And now we have like 4 little corners like sticking up. And that is what we're going to use to cover the area that wasn't covered before. So I cut off any excess fabric because there's no need to like cram tons of fabric down inside of the pumpkin. You just need enough that's going to get it to hold tight. And you want to grab it and, kind of crease it where it'll sit nicely right against the sides of the pumpkin, and just put the rest of the material there in front. So I definitely trim off the excess fabric on all 4 sides. And when I'm doing this, I am making sure I'm trying to cover the bald spots. I don't really have to cover the bald spots on the very top though, because we're going to cover the top of this with succulents from the Dollar Tree. So this is my 4th and final side. Now I'm going to leave this as is, but you could also wrap it with like some twine if you want to get like each section of the pumpkin, lineated, but I think it looks good enough. Now I picked out 3 of the different succulents from Dollar Tree. I picked out a blue one, kind of an ivory one, and kind of like a honey colored one. And I thought 3 of them would be perfect on top of this. Now these are all built different. This one didn't have a stem when I pulled it off. So I'm just going to use hot glue and glue that towards the back of that hole that we put all the excess fabric in. And the other 2, I have to kind of snip off the stems because I'm going on top of the burlap, so I can't easily stick it through the foam. And so we're going to attach all 3 of them with hot glue, just kind of having them overlap slightly. And it's just going to be a really fun look with a little succulent pumpkin. And I've actually made a whole pumpkin out of succulents. I'll have to post that DIY soon too. It turned out really cute. Now I think that looks really cute and decorative for the top of it. I did think it needed like a little bit more decoration though. So once I got all those on, I'll show you what it looks like. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Spanish moss. So it's looking pretty cute already. I think you can definitely tell that it was a pumpkin. And this is just Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree. I always try to save this if I can after I use it for a project. And I'm just going to take little tiny bunches of it and hot glue that to our burlap, just kind of coming out wherever the little succulents come together. If you had some succulents that like hang down a little bit, you can kind of use that as well, just to give it a little bit more decorative touch. Anywhere you kind of have a gap. I think that looks pretty good. I think this little DIY is ready to go. Isn't it cute? And it was so easy to make.
So there it is, our little burlap pumpkin with succulents on top. This goes great with just about anything because it's going to look good if you like the neutral fall colors. It's also going to look good if you do any of like coastal fall like I do, especially with the succulents and the burlap. But it was really easy to put this one together and it is so pretty. I love a good pumpkin DIY and this is definitely one of them.
Now for the next DIY, I designed a printable for y'all. It is a fun owl with a fall scene watercolor, and I thought we could do it on one of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm just going to remove the hanger from the side because I need mine to be vertical. Don't really want that to get in the way. And I love these signs from the Dollar Tree because they're almost the same size as a sheet of paper. So I just printed this out on cardstock, 8.5 by 11, just regular size. And so I'll just have to trim it down a tiny bit. I just kind of use the little frame as reference to kind of guess how long I need to cut it. And as you can see, I don't have to trim it much to get it to fit. And I will share this free printable for you guys if you want to do an owl fall scene as well. I like to Mod Podge this on. And I really like using cardstock for that because you don't really have to worry about wrinkling. You can just lay this and stick that in there. And you're going to get like almost like a painting look, like a finished artwork piece, once you Mod Podge over the top. I'm just making sure that it is down everywhere. Every section is glued flat to that sign. The sign behind it is nice and flat, so it makes a great surface for this. And then we're just going to go over the top of it with more Mod Podge. I do a couple coats of Mod Podge to get it sealed in. And I like to work in one direction, so you kind of get a brush stroke in there too. It kind of gives a cool texture on the final piece. The only problem I have is those foam brushes from the Dollar Tree have been leaving like little gray specks whenever I Mod Podge with them lately. I may have to switch up my brush for my Mod Podging. But I'm cheap and I like to buy paintbrushes at the Dollar Tree. So basically that's all there is to it. All I have to do is give this a quick dry, and we have a little owl fall scene, a beautiful like watercolor scene. And I think this would look great in your fall decor. And again, in the description below, I will be sharing the printable for this. And this is a close-up of how it turned out. You can kind of see the brush strokes in there, how you kind of get that painting feel, and this beautiful owl watercolor scene in front of a fall-colored forest.
And I really like the idea of decorating with owls for fall. I have some more DIYs coming up a little bit later in today's video.
I'm going to use one of these little milk jugs that I found at Dollar Tree. I think it's so cute. And we're going to fill it up with some more of that wheat that I got from the grocery store. Thought we could do a very simple arrangement in this, but I was thinking about it. Do I really want my little milk jug to be clear, or do I want it to be colored for Thanksgiving? And I decided I wanted to be colored for Thanksgiving. Now, I totally didn't have the color that I wanted, but I'll show you how I got to it. So I mixed water with pumpkin orange, fire red, and my goal here is to make a watered down acrylic that I can use on the inside of my milk jug to kind of paint it from inside. Adding a little bit more orange and red, and then a little bit of brown to darken it up a little bit, because I wanted like this orange red color, but kind of a dark version of it. And it turned out exactly how I wanted. I think I mixed up way too much paint though. I always do. And once I get it all stirred up, I'm just going to pour that in the vase. I poured a little bit in there, probably too much. And then I'm just going to kind of swirl that around like this till I coat the inside of my vase with that beautiful red color. Gonna dump out any excess on my paper towels. You might want to sit this on some newspaper or something like that until it dries. Now I did leave the paint like along the top part of it because it kind of needed it just along the edges right there. But I made sure I didn't have any paint on the outside of the bottle. So I'm just going to clean that up with a baby wipe. So it's nice and shiny on the outside. This is my favorite way to paint one of these little clear bottles from the Dollar Tree. Look how pretty this is now. I hurried mine along with my heat gun because I needed mine to get dry a little faster. And then we're going to take this wheat. Again, it's probably too long for the smaller vase. And so we're going to trim it down too. I cut off about half of it and just start arranging this in our little red milk bottle. I'm really glad I chose that for the vase. I think it looks really cute. And we're pretty much going to use most of my wheat bundle in this. I do save a couple pieces for a later project. You'll see here in just a minute.
And I really like the idea of decorating with natural materials like this. So be sure to check like your grocery store if you're in the market for some real wheat, because as you can see, compared to like the Dollar Tree ones, there is a big difference. Now I made this last year for one of my Thanksgiving DIY videos, but I think it would be really cute. You could leave this up all fall. And I really enjoyed the color of the milk jug. I think that's really pretty for fall. It's just such a beautiful, almost like wine color, right? But this was so easy to put together. And I love painting like the glass projects like that from the Dollar Tree, like glass pieces. They always turn out pretty cute. Now let's try to do a Kirkland's fall dupe.
We're going to try to do this pumpkin floral window hanger plaque, which is regularly $29.99 at Kirkland's. And I wanted to try to do a Dollar Tree version. Now mine's probably going to be a lot smaller, but they have a very similar frame, this one from Dollar Tree. So let's give it a go. I thought we could do a little cathedral window and make a pumpkin wreath that's going to be kind of similar. I do want to switch up the hanger though. I don't like the way that it was hanging before. I did try to use like the existing hanger and just reverse it, but it was too short. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace it with twine. I always like to knot them in the front. I just think it hangs better. And sometimes the Dollar Tree pieces can be a little thin. This one's kind of a medium thickness, I would say. It doesn't bow or anything like that, but it kind of has that wood grain on it already, like the original window. So that's going to save us a step. So just knotted that in the front. And then I want to remove the little welcome sign on there because the original does not have that piece. And it is on there like so much. Like I used a lot of heat and a lot of scraping, and I was able to get it off intact mostly. Now, the thing that I noticed though is when I got it off and got everything cleaned up, there were like still a couple little tiny nails, not visible from the back, but visible from the front. So those kind of bothered me. I was trying to see if I could hide them or grab them. I was able to get them with pliers though, so I did just kind of try to pull them out and just kind of get that out of the way. I really got most of that off without any damage, but there was just a slight bit of damage there that I thought was going to be a little bit distracting. So I thought one of these little wood Hello Autumn signs from the Dollar Tree would be perfect there. It'll cover up that little bit of damage. And I'm going to paint it this color. It is called Golden Sunset. It is by Apple Barrel from Walmart. It's kind of the color of the year, this kind of like honey color for fall. So I thought that'd be a nice neutral color to go with this. I just do a little hot glue there on the line that connects the two letters and glue that on the bottom. It's a perfect fit. Now from there, all we have to do is make the little fall wreath that was hanging on the original, and I'm going to do that with just a couple items from the Dollar Tree. My first attempt was wire. I have some wire from Dollar Tree. It's really thin, but I thought maybe it would be a good idea to kind of just form a wreath form out of the wire. And then I can use floral wire to attach everything to my wreath. It didn't last long though, because I figured it was a little bit too much work for such a small scale wreath, but I did start it with some of this lamb's ear from Dollar Tree. I absolutely love this stuff. It's like some of my favorite greenery. I'm so glad that Dollar Tree is carrying it now. I'm just kind of pulling the pieces off, keeping their little plastic stems, and so I can have little pieces to decorate it with. Now, this was my original plan. I was just going to wire everything to it, but I do have plans to attach lots of things to it, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I really need to wire it. So I decided, you know what? I think I could probably do just as good as a wreath with hot glue instead of the wire, which is going to be a little bit annoying. So this is about how far that I got when I decided, yeah, the heck with the wire. But I did begin that way. So what I'm going to do instead is I just looked around for something that was round to kind of give me a reference to a circular shape. And then we can just kind of start building around that. And I'm going to do the wreath form first with a lamb's ear, and then we can add everything else to it. The original one from Kirkland's looked like it was lamb's ear, pumpkins, and like maybe wheat. Now, Dollar Tree, I don't know, maybe it's all gone already, but I haven't been able to find any wheat at Dollar Tree this year or anything that looks quite like it. So we're going to use some fall eucalyptus, which I think is going to give us a very similar feel. So as you can see, I'm just kind of overlapping it slightly, using a little dot of hot glue here and there to attach the piece to the previous section. But I'm kind of keeping all the leaves going the same direction and just wrapping it all around. Now, some of the leaves are like kind of small and super fuzzy like this one. Some of them are kind of bigger and greener. I'm just trying to kind of, mix them all together. So I made it all the way around. We got our first ring shape, so we can kind of get rid of that. It's not super even, but it is about the right size, I think, for our little window. So since it's not even, I thought I would add a little bit more to it. Just picking out some bigger leaves here and attaching them any of the areas that I kind of thought looked a little sparse. And just trying to make sure it has that nice round shape. And I'm really glad that I switched to hot glue, because I think constructing this was way easier this way and a little bit less time. So anytime I kind of want to change the direction, I can just do that with a dot of hot glue. And I'm going to add another leaf like right here, and it's looking way fuller. Now the next step is this eucalyptus I was talking about. It's in with the fall flowers. It's kind of got the same color as the wheat, kind of got a very similar shape. So I think we can use some of these. There are different colors, so I'm going to kind of use a variety of colors, and I think 3 is going to be plenty because this is a very small little wreath. And I just put a little hot glue on the end of it and tuck it down in between our lamb's ear leaves, kind of a third of the way here, and then I'll do my last one right down here at the bottom. And the other thing that the original had from Kirkland's was some little pumpkins. And I picked up this great greenery from the fall section that has little pumpkins dangling from it. And it works out perfect because there's 3. I like the fact that they have stems like this that dangle. It's going to make it a little bit easier, I think, to attach it to the wreath. But I don't really want to incorporate that too much into the design. So I decided to kind of attach the stems to the back of the wreath. So I start by doing that by hot gluing that. And I'm going to kind of do one in between each one of the eucalyptus. Kind of spread those out as well. And then we can kind of pull the pumpkins around to the other side. So that is all 3 of them. They're kind of strung on. That's just going to make it a little bit sturdier when I go to attach the pumpkins to this side. As you can see, they kind of dangle around, kind of all over the place, and I really want them to kind of stay in place. And so I do glue them down to the front of the pumpkin as well. But just a little bit here, kind of on their side, kind of tilted a little bit. And then I just kind of want to make sure that I have them kind of evenly spaced out. And I think it's looking pretty cute. I think maybe just a few more touches, maybe a few more lamb's ear, just to make it look a little bit thicker. And then we'll be ready to hang our little pumpkin wreath on our window. This is a really fun DIY to make. I really love crafting with those little cathedral windows signs from Dollar Tree. They have them in like 3 or 4 different varieties. I think they even have one like on a stand now if you wanted to do this for a standing decoration instead of a hanging decoration. Doesn't that look so cute? And I really don't mind the Hello Autumn that we added to it. I think that is a fun touch. And it's a nice small size DIY where you could pretty much hang this anywhere. It would look great in your kitchen, in your office, wherever you need a little bit of fall decor. And I just hot glued it to the front of our window, kind of centering it on there and cleaning up any hot glue that may have come through the holes there in the window. But that's it. We have another Kirkland's dupe complete. Super easy. I think it turned out really beautiful. What do you guys think about this one? So again, here was our original pumpkin floral window hanger plaque for $29.99 regularly at Kirkland's. And then let me show you my Dollar Tree version. I think it turned out really sweet. And I think I have the perfect place to hang this for fall. I really love crafting fall DIYs. They're some of my favorite. Such a fun time of year to craft. So here it is, our little pumpkin wreath window. Now check out this cute little squirrel sign I got at the Dollar Tree today. I've never seen that before. It was in the fall section. I picked up that and one of the acorn signs. Now this one's already got glitter and an image on it. I'm just going to cover all of that up with some cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree. You could get the plain acorn that's just plain raw wood. It is a little bit smaller than this one, though. That's why I chose this one, but it doesn't matter. Because, again, I'm just going to cover all that up by sticking that contact paper to the back. And then I'm going to go in with a sanding sponge from Dollar Tree to trim that down to size. Now, it was a little tricky because it was kind of big, and I had to go around like the acorn cap and stuff like that. But I'm just going to kind of take it one section at a time, cutting that down to size. And that's just going to give us a finished back to our DIY, make everything look good, and seal up any glitter and stuff that's on the back of that. I wanted to do a really easy like burlap neutral color acorn sign, and then I thought we could attach that really cute little squirrel that I got at the Dollar Tree today. They also had a hedgehog. I'd never seen either one of them. Absolutely adorable. So that looks pretty good. I just kind of have to clean up the sides a little bit, and then we can decorate the back of this acorn. You can kind of see how large this one is. It's pretty tall. And what I want to do is cover it with white burlap. So this is also from the Dollar Tree. I have a scrap piece of the white burlap, and I'm going to go ahead and, again, just give that a quick iron. It's going to make it easier to work with. And we're going to start by covering the entire acorn with the white burlap, and then we'll add to it. You can kind of see what I'm going to use for the top of the acorn. I'm going to be using those burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. So I went and grabbed like every package I own because I thought I might need a few. Now I'm just going to Mod Podge down the burlap by doing a coat all over the acorn and smoothing the fabric on. I didn't feel like I probably got enough Mod Podge on there to keep this secure. I don't want it going anywhere because we're going to be attaching the squirrel to the front, and it's going to be a hanging sign. So I just go in from the front doing another coat of Mod Podge all over, especially making sure I get all of the edges, again, so that I can trim that burlap down without any fraying. So I'm going to kind of sit this aside and let it dry a little bit before I trim that down. But in the meantime, we can start working on our cute little squirrel. He really doesn't need anything. I just wanted to kind of tone down his colors a little bit because he's not very neutral fall. He's got a really cool little hanger on him, but I don't really need that. So I'm just going to unscrew that from the top of the cute little squirrel head. And then I'm going to whitewash this to try to tone it down. So I just took a dry paper towel and a little dot of ivory paint, and I'm just distressing. It's just a quick, easy way to distress. Just working in one direction until I tone down all of the colors and kind of make him look a little bit older than he did before. And just like with any distressing, you can kind of work with it until you're happy with it. I think that looks pretty even. And then I'm also going to sand him down a little bit too, just to kind of roughen him up. It's just a way you can take one of those signs from the Dollar Tree that has like the glossy paper on it, make it look a little bit more high end. So I'm just going to finish drying the acorn, and then we can just go around and trim the burlap down to size. I'm going to do the same thing we did earlier, just using my sharp fabric scissors and cutting as close to the side of the acorn as I can. Now for the nut part of the acorn, it's going to be this ivory burlap color. I thought that would be a fun contrast against like the tan burlap that we've been using a lot today. So pretty easy to trim down. The only tricky parts were like around the little stem of the acorn and a little bit on the cap. If you flip it over though, it's pretty obvious any areas that you might need to trim up a little bit. And as you can see, no fraying at all. That Mod Podge really is the trick to that. I left the hanger on there just to kind of save a step. And then we need to do the cap part of the acorn. So again, I'm going to use the tan burlap leaves. They come in two different sizes, these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. These are the large ones. They also have small ones. And I'm going to use a combination of both to cover up the acorn cap. But I start with the large ones for the bottom here. And what I'm going to do is kind of like make it arch up a little bit, like the cap arches a little bit. Not a lot, but I'm going up a little bit each one. And that is going to be the bottom row for the acorn cap. And if you get any hot glue coming through, you can always clean that up with a heat gun pretty easily. I'm going to switch up to some smaller ones, but I'm going to kind of move back and forth between smaller ones and larger ones, just whatever I'm going to need to kind of fill up any space here. And as you can see, I'm kind of going in the gap on the one lower and layering those on top, so it kind of looks like the scales on the top of an acorn. And I really love how this turned out. It was so easy, and the squirrel is going to make it look so cute. So just kind of sorting these out again, and then I'm switching. I'm still using some smaller ones, but I do go in and use some larger ones here in a minute, just because I kind of had a bigger area to fill. And I do that all the way up to the top of the stem, covering that with one as well. And I think it looks really cute. I'm going to go ahead and attach the little squirrel here right to the front. I think he looks a little bit better distressed. It's going to go with my color scheme a little bit better. And I'm just going to hot glue him to the back. He does have a big label here on the back, so I'm going to try to get most of that out of the way so that I can glue him tightly to the burlap sign. A little hot glue all over. Now I do need to kind of touch up the top of the acorn a little bit, just to kind of even it out, kind of make the cap a little bit more even and fill up any of the areas where like the white burlap might be showing through. So he is nice and secure. And then I'm just going to trim it up. And then I have like an extra one of those little burlap leaves that I can kind of cut down to fill up any of the holes there. The left side seemed to have a little bit better coverage than the right side, but I just cut some little triangular pieces out of that just to kind of mask that. Any of the little areas that might be showing through. And that's the last step in this DIY. It's so easy to put together. I think using the little burlap leaves is a fun idea for the top of the acorn. I'm always looking for something fun to do with that. And I love a good acorn DIY. It's something a little bit different than the pumpkin that you might see everywhere. So this is how he turned out. So cute. I love the little squirrel. And he is super happy to be on a little acorn sign.
And it reminds me of a friend I have in town that does squirrel rehab. She's the person to go to if you have a squirrel in need that needs help. And they're so adorable. Hey guys, have you checked out my website yet? It is craftybeach.net. I'm archiving all my YouTube videos over there, and I have photos of everything I craft that you can pin on Pinterest so that you can remember to make them.
Okay, the next DIY, we're going to do like some more lamb's ear, some of the little acorn picks from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a fun little fall floral arrangement using a Dollar Tree vase and some burlap. For the burlap, I'm going to use one of these little burlap craft bags they have from Dollar Tree. And I've already used this one for another DIY, so I still have one side of the bag that's going to be great to craft with. And this has the plastic coating on the back, makes it super easy to cut, no fraying or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut the handle off just so I can keep that nice seamed edge to use along the top of my vase. And I want to cover that Dollar Tree vase with the burlap. So super easy. I'm just going to cut more of a straight line over here, kind of see how much fabric we need to cover it, cutting it down to size. Then I also need to cut it to the proper length. And I just use the vase for reference. So easy to attach it. I'm just going to hot glue on the inside of the burlap bag onto that plastic. It is plastic, but if you work quickly, you can definitely hot glue it. It's not going to melt or anything like that. Glue that to the side of the vase, and we're just going to simply wrap this around to give us a cute little burlap vase. And then I kind of wanted to decorate that a little bit more, and I thought it would be really fun to wrap one of those little leather fall ornaments around it to give it a little bit more character. Now, I find that these leather items from the Dollar Tree are really kind of tricky to hot glue. And so I'm going to actually leave the little leather strap on it, doing the little grateful leaf, wrapping that around our little burlap vase, trying to make sure that my strap is sitting with like the brown leather side up. I like the contrast of that like chocolatey brown leather against the burlap. I think that looks cute. And I'll just hot glue the little knot here to the top of the vase on the back, right there along the seam, letting the little leaf come down here in the front. So I'm just going to hot glue it in a couple places just to kind of keep it in line, but otherwise it's kind of hanging. I'm not going to wrap it around the shape of it. I'm just going to leave it flat like this, and hopefully that will stay on there well. So there's the burlap vase, and now it's ready for some greenery. Now for the flowers, I'm using these. These are the summer sunflowers, so they're not fall, but I like the white flowers with the dark brown middles, so we're just going to make this work. So what I'm going to do that is I'm just going to remove all of that bright greenery off of each one, putting the flowers right back on. That way it's going to make it look a little bit more like fall. And then I'm going to use that right here in the vase. The next item is super cute. I think these are new this year from Dollar Tree. The little wooled acorns. So cute. I love the colors. They're super soft and fuzzy. And I think this is a great deal for $1.25. It's going to go great with those flowers. And I just kind of push that little acorn pick right down inside, kind of working it in between all of the white flowers. Now I want to keep my lamb's ear theme that we've been using today. And so I'm going to use a couple pieces of the Dollar Tree lamb's ear to replace the greenery that we took off of those flowers. I'm just going to put those along the side. I'm going to do a total of 3. And these are just from Dollar Tree that I've already cut apart. And this is how it turned out. I think it's really cute. It really goes with, the lamb's ear and the burlap and a lot of the neutral colors that we've been using for the fall DIYs today. Super cute, super easy. And look how adorable those acorns are. I really love those. I might have to pick up some more of those and actually remove them from the pick. That might be great to use as a vase filler or bowl filler or something like that. That would be really cute. And I love those little leather fall tags. Adorable. And this is how it turned out. Now, I found some other items at the Dollar Tree today, and they were so cute. So I wanted to make a little stand to display them. I wanted something rustic to go with like the woodland animal theme. So I'm going to use these little wood round signs from Dollar Tree. I don't need the little hangers on them though. Be super careful when you remove the staples from the side. These things can fall apart. I wanted to combine these with some of the Dollar Tree dowels to make a cute little like 3-tier stand to hold these adorable items that you're going to see here in a minute. Now, these dowels from the Dollar Tree are bigger than any of the dowels in the Dollar Tree I've ever found before. You could always use the smaller ones. You could always use a pumpkin plunger as well. My husband lent me this fancy drill bit to do a nice hole that would be big enough for the whole dowel to go through, but it was a fail. So it busted my little tree slice, but that's okay because I happen to have a spare, thank goodness. So I'm not going to be able to drill through them like I wanted to, so I'm going to have to find another way to construct this. So I cut my dowel down into 2 smaller pieces, and I tried attaching it with hot glue at first. I want like this one to go off to the side a little bit. I want this to have like 3 shelves because I found 3 of the cutest little woodland animal things that I wanted to add. But as you can see, hot glue alone is not going to cut it. So I do have some Dollar Tree nails. So I'm going to go ahead and nail directly into the dowel from the bottom of the wood slice to hold that in place. And then for the middle piece, I kind of wanted it to be a 2-directional piece. So I wanted a nail to be coming from the bottom and a nail to be going down. That way I could go ahead and put the next dowel on it and kind of build it upwards. Now that nail coming up though was a fail. It didn't work. But this nail going down into my dowel was a success. So I'm just going to nail that in place. The hot glue kind of gave it a temporary hold, but the nail is great because it allows you to pivot it if you want to kind of readjust your tray. Now this was me trying to attach the dowel to the other nail, but it just wasn't going to work. So I decided to change my plan here, maybe have a second shelf coming out the other side and just make this second dowel a little bit shorter. So I cut that down a little bit. We're going to glue it here on the back here of the wood slice. And I used the larger wood slice on the bottom, hot glued it into place, and then I go back in with a nail to nail that in place to give it some, to make it sturdy. And the items I'm going to add to it from the Dollar Tree are not too heavy, so this doesn't have to be super heavy duty, but it worked in the end. So I have 3 trays, all different sizes, super rustic, that can hold these little animals. Then I decided I kind of wanted it to have feet, my little tray, right? So I'm going to use some of these wood stems from Dollar Tree, try to find 4 that are about the same height, and then I'm just going to hot glue 4 little legs onto our tray. I know some of you guys were saying you were having a hard time finding those at your store, and my store is very hit or miss with them too, but sometimes when I can't find them at my store, I do buy those on Amazon, and I think I do have those linked in my Amazon shop below. This is how my little tray turned out. It's not how I originally envisioned it, but we're going to make it work. Now, these are what I found at Dollar Tree today. I've never seen them before. There's a little hedgehog pumpkin. He's kind of missing a spike, but I don't think you'll be able to see. Isn't he so cute? And I knew I had to include these in this video today. So I'm going to put him right there on our bottom little wood slice. Up next is a little blue pumpkin that looks like a raccoon. Isn't he so adorable? So we're going to use that here over on the side. And then a little orange pumpkin that looks like a fox. Have you guys seen these at your Dollar Trees before? I was so happy when I found these. I just had to have them. And I just wanted to find a fun way to display them. And these wood slices from the Dollar Tree worked out great. Just trying to make sure everything's sort of balanced. And then fill up some of the dead areas, kind of cover up some of the nails with just some of this brown, like floral moss from Dollar Tree. It's a little messy, but it definitely gives you like a little touch of fall. And I think it looks really cute here. So here's our little Dollar Tree DIY guest tier tray with some pumpkins that look like little woodland animals. We have a fox, a raccoon, and I guess a little hedgehog pumpkin. I thought they were so cute. I hope you do too. I got this little sign from the Dollar Tree. It says, "I love fall most of all." And I decided to use it as an inspiration for a beautiful fall sunflower wreath. So I'm going to use this wreath form. It's got like 4 rows, but my wood round's big enough to cover 2 rows. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and attach my wood round to it first and just kind of build out from there. That way I'll need less things and I can kind of make it custom to size. I'm going to leave the existing hanger on there and just string that through from the back like that so I can still use it for a wreath hanger. It's just a matter of attaching the wood round from the Dollar Tree to the Dollar Tree wreath form. So I just did a bead of hot glue all the way around. My hot glue gun was not charged very well. So I was trying to get that on there as quick as I could so I could just lay my little wreath form on top. I didn't get it all in great places. So I do follow that up with another row of hot glue, making sure that's good and secure. I don't want that going anywhere because we are going to build this wreath out and it's going to end up, and it's a pretty nice size wreath. So once I get that all dry, we can flip this over and start decorating. I'm using the sign itself as inspiration for the pieces, and there's a lot of greenery on there. So I picked up 3 things of garland from the Dollar Tree, and they're all different leaves, but you know, sometimes at the Dollar Tree, you kind of have to take what you can get. And I think it actually added some variety and made it look great. This garland is already wired, so super easy to make a wreath with. I just wind it around the wire wreath form and just wrap it around. This is kind of like maybe a star-shaped leaf, I guess. I decided to kind of make it go through this little section here at the top. That way I could get it to stay on there without having to use any zip ties or wire or anything like that. And then just wire it down to itself there at the bottom. It was the perfect size to go around the wreath one time, but of course it's not near as full as it should be for a wreath. So I also got this greenery at Dollar Tree. This one has more of like a heart-shaped leaf. They're both green, but I think that's fine because the leaves on my sign, my inspiration, had green leaves as well. But you could totally do this with fall leaves if you'd want. But really, there was no sign of like fall leaf colors on this sign. And it turned out so bright and beautiful. I do go through one section of the wreath form like I did before, just so I don't have to use any wire or anything like that. Just making sure everything is kind of tight and wrapped tight around the wreath form, and it does make it all the way around the wreath form one more time. So I just wire that back to itself. And then my third package of greenery is like a heart shape, but it's like a variated leaf. So I think they all actually worked really nicely with each other because all the leaves are a little bit different. It's going to kind of add to our design. And we're going to add all the things that you see like in that fall picture. We're going to add sunflower, pomegranates, apples, cotton, the whole 9 yards. It actually turned out so beautiful. I was really pleased with how this turned out. And so far, super easy for a wreath, right? Most of the items we work with today are wired, so it was really easy to wire it to that wire wreath form. And let's get started decorating it. This is the little mini pomegranates. And we are going to use this entire sprig. Again, they're all wired, so they're going to be super easy to attach. I'm just kind of cutting them all apart separately down by the base, making sure that I leave the greenery on there. That's going to make my wreath a little bit fuller. And then we're just going to kind of stagger these around where I think they would look good and just wrapping them around like the vine and also the wreath form. So they'll stay in place, no floral wire or anything required. I was really impressed with how easy it was to put this together. It was really fun to build it. So I have like 5 little sprigs. One only had one on there, but I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway and just kind of stagger those out all the way around the wreath form. And I know the light is shining right on that sign, so it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see a little bit. Now, this is also a fall pick. It has like little apples on there, and it's super cute. So we're going to use a lot of things from here, and we might as well use the greenery. It's going to be a different kind of greenery than what we already have on there, and we might as well use it. I use everything on there except for the flowers. But I mainly got that because I wanted these cute little apples to attach to it because there's apples on that fall sign. And that is a great representation for fall too. So I just, again, wire that, kind of staggering that in between our pomegranates. And it's a nice small apple, perfect size for a wreath. And I just kind of nest those right inside. And then I'm also going to add the greenery. The greenery that I pulled off the side was the first thing that we've used that doesn't have wires on it. So I am going to have to use zip ties to attach that to the wire wreath form. But honestly, I only had to use a couple of those on this whole project. I almost added the little flowers that came on there. They're probably like apple tree flowers, but I decided I really wanted the flowers on this to be sunflowers. So speaking of sunflowers, I have a couple left from the previous DIYs. They have lots of different sunflowers I noticed at Dollar Tree this year. This one has kind of a big rounded leaf. It's kind of a large sunflower. And we're going to go ahead and use both of these. I'm going to cut their stems off, saving their greenery as well, because I want that wire stem, again, that I can wrap around there. And I even added a little extra greenery from that previous DIY from the sunflowers that we used before. I'm going to put one up here to the left, another one down here on the bottom. Just wiring that to itself. And then I also had these sunflowers from the Dollar Tree. You can kind of see they kind of have like a pointier leaf and they are smaller than those, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and use some of those to decorate this as well. I thought maybe 3 would be like a really nice punch of color. So I'm going to put it over here, kind of staggering it out between the other 2. And then there's pumpkins on the sign. So I'm going to use some of these little pumpkin picks from the Dollar Tree. This is a very soft, like orange color, and there is a pumpkin on there similar to that. Now they have these little clips, so easy to attach to a wreath form. Just have to find something to attach it to, and then you can just clip those right to the wreath form. I was trying to decide where to put the second pumpkin. I decided to wait until I added some more stuff to it to figure that out. Now, these are the little cotton pods from the Dollar Tree, from the Crafter Square. And the great thing is they're already on wires. So that's going to make it even easier. I'm going to stagger those throughout the wreath. And these are also, of course, on the sign, the fall sign below. So I thought maybe a pumpkin over here, another like little cotton piece up here. Isn't it so pretty? I think that this wreath really screams fall. I love it. I love all the inspiration I got from the wood round. It was perfect inspiration, and I was able to find all of this stuff at the Dollar Tree. So that was definitely a win. Just trying to arrange everything. We're going to use the existing hanger that was on the wood round to hang the wreath form, so I don't need to add anything else to it. And I think it looks really full and beautiful. What do you guys think about it? I love the greenery on there just because it makes it so colorful with the yellow sunflowers and like the red fruit and stuff like that. And this is how it turned out, our little I Love Fall Most of All wreath. It was kind of a work in progress. It was really fun to build this out, and I just love how it turned out. It's so beautiful and colorful for fall. Love it, love it, love it.
Okay, another fall Kirkland's dupe.
Is this little Hello Pumpkin art print, regularly $49.99 at Kirkland's, and we're going to try to dupe it with supplies from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I did was design this image that's pretty close to the original, and I will include the link to the free printable for that. And we are going to frame it in one of these Dollar Tree frames. I really liked this one because it was square and the original art print was square, so I thought this would work well. It kind of has like a tannish gray frame, which I kind of like. It kind of goes great for neutral fall. So we're going to leave that as is. Now, to make the art print, I'm actually going to attach the image that I printed directly on the glass. Now, the frame is slightly larger than the width of a piece of paper, so 8.5 inches, just slightly larger. So what I'm going to do here is just cut the sides off of this image. I printed it out on cardstock just because I find it's a little bit easier to work with, but you could probably get away with paper, but you might get a little bit more wrinkling with that. What I want is a slight glass border on the 2 sides to match the slight glass border that's going to be on the top and the bottom there. So that looks pretty good. It is a little bit smaller, than the glass, but it is so small that it's really not noticeable. So I am going to just do Mod Podge all over the surface of the glass, and we're just going to attach the image directly to that. So I put a nice thick layer down and line up my image. Make sure it's kind of on there square, that there aren't any bubbles. I like to smooth mine out first with my fingers, really dry, but then I also like to follow that up with a scraper to try to get any excess glue out that might be trapped underneath of it too. And this is really going to give us like a mounted art print like on wood, but just using these existing glass that was in the frame. So once I got it dried, I went over the top of it with more Mod Podge to seal it down. I kind of like the brush strokes that you get from that. I've been having a lot of problems with the Dollar Tree foam brushes lately though, leaving those little black spots of foam, but We got it in there. We're just going to go ahead and put it back in the frame. As you can see, there is a slight border around that. And I kind of wanted to fill that with something because I didn't want the brown backing to show through there. So I decided just to use the paper that came with the frame, turn it upside down like that. It will have a white background and it will kind of blend in with our printable. I do have a larger format printer, but I have it set up only for sublimation, so I can't go any larger than a regular sheet of paper. So I just popped the back on it. I wanted to use the existing hanger that was on there, and check it out. How easy was that DIY? I think it was so easy, and with this printable, you can make this too. I always share a link to the files that are in my Google Drive. So this is what we were trying to do, the Hello Pumpkin art print from Kirkland's, and let me show you ours. I think it turned out really cute. I love kind of the neutral colors. I kind of chose like a honey color for the word hello, and I like that it's just like hello with just a pumpkin, kind of like figure it out, right? And I try to use lots of fall colors there in the greenery and a beautiful watercolor pumpkin. Okay, the next DIY, we're going to DIY one of these little foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I always try to choose the white ones when I have a choice because it's going to make it a difference. You don't have to paint them white to start a project. And I am going to cover it with the corn husks that I got from the grocery store. Now, I know that if you soak the corn husks, it makes them easier to work with. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to hot glue it down. And I know that I wouldn't be able to hot glue it down if it was wet. So I don't know. I found that this was a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Now, gluing the smaller part to the top of the pumpkin like that with the hot glue was actually pretty easy. Now, I want to kind of make it not so wide, so I kind of fold it up upon itself and kind of wrap that around. It does go all the way around to the bottom of it. And then I'm just going to hot glue that to the base. Now, I found that hot gluing it to the foam worked a little bit better than hot gluing it to itself or anything else. So I was trying to hot glue it onto that tag that was on the bottom, and it was kind of fighting me a little bit on that. So I just used a lot of hot glue, and then I had to be patient and kind of let it dry. Now I got that first piece on there, so now I'm going to use a second piece and go straight across, kind of doing the same thing. So just going to glue it here, leaving room for a pumpkin stem. And again, that part was easy. This was the tricky part. So I kind of make it a little bit skinnier like I did before. And then I just apply a lot of hot glue and try to glue it to itself. I thought that this step would be way easier than it was. But again, I just had to exercise some patience on this DIY. In the end, though, it turns out super cute. So I'm going to grab some more of these. I'm trying to use kind of pretty much the same size. And I'm going to hot glue it here. So we're going to do crisscross, like in a cross first. Then we can go back and fill in any of the missing sections. So again, on the bottom, I kind of folded up a little bit using lots of hot glue. We're just going to glue that to itself and make sure that it stays. If you don't let it set up, it will come back apart. Trust me. I don't know if there's a secret on hot gluing the corn husks. If you know something, please let me know in the comments. I always appreciate your all's wise crafting advice. So I went straight across on that one and did the same thing. And just making sure that's secure. I thought about like trying to staple it and stuff like that, but I didn't think that would really work either. So we stuck with the hot glue. Now to fill in the little gaps in between, I think that one of the corn husks is going to be plenty. So I just glue the tip. And then just like before, we just wrap that around and we're going to glue that to the back. And that's what I mean. I just don't know why it was super difficult to hot glue the corn husks to each other. I don't know if it's because I am bending it like that and it's really, I'm just trying to bend it without actually cracking it or breaking it. But again, just hot glue in time, and I was able to get it to stick. And I'm actually going to put a base on this, so that's probably going to help keep everything together as well. So as you can see, that overlaps it nicely. It does stick out a little further, but I'm totally okay with that. I think that's going to look cute. And then we're going to have 3 more sections to do the same thing to fill in the 3 triangular gaps there. And I want to decorate this, but I don't want to make it super decorative. I really want the corn husks to kind of speak for themselves on this pumpkin. And I've done so many different DIYs with these foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. They're just such a perfect size to work with, and they're so fun. Making sure everything's together. I just have 2 more to attach here. And again, just leaving a small circular shape in there so that I can cut a hole in the top, and then we can add a stem in here. These were all pretty much the perfect length to go around one side of the pumpkin and kind of be hidden underneath without having to cut anything down. And we're almost there. One more piece, and we have got a little corn husk pumpkin. I'm just looking for the perfect piece. I noticed some of them did have holes in them, but that's okay because it does kind of look a little bit rustic too, but I tried not to use them on my pumpkin. So last piece, I glued the tip on the top and then gluing it tight to the bottom. And then once I had it all wrapped in corn husks, I noticed it was really tippy. See, it does not want to lay flat. And so I am going to make a base with this. So again, I'm using one of these little wood slices from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to take a couple Dollar Tree nails here. I chose some longer ones and just go ahead and drive those in so I can kind of stab the foam pumpkin from the bottom. It's going to help keep everything attached. So very similar to how we did the gourd turkey earlier. I love these wood slices. I think they're so fun and rustic. So I'm going to combine the nails with hot glue, of course, and just set the base on there. And like I said, that's going to help kind of reinforce everything, keep the corn husks attached to the bottom of it because they weren't really that stable. So kind of like that so far. And that's going to give me a nice heavy base and make this stand up properly. Now for the stem, I'm going to use one of these little wood stems from the Dollar Tree. Kind of leans to one side, so I think that's going to make a perfect pumpkin stem. And I'm just going to cut a hole here in the center of the pumpkin with my scissors and push the wood stem in there. I want it to be nice and tight. Just like that. I think it's so cute so far, a little corn husk pumpkin. I think it just needs a little bit more decorating, but this is what it looks like at this point. Now for the base of it, I thought it would be fun to decorate it with some of this fall berry garland. This is the one with like the orange and the red berries on them. And I thought we could just kind of string that around the little wood base at the bottom just to provide a little touch of fall and make it really look cute for Halloween. So I just kind of wrap that around until I'm happy with it. I just want kind of like just a very small wreath down there, just enough to provide a little bit of decoration. So I'm trying to decide how much I want. I think that's going to be plenty. And I found a part that I could just untwist it, and I didn't even have to cut it. So kind of haphazardly, just kind of laying on the wood slice, but I think that looks really cute like that. Now to decorate the pumpkin stem, I thought this little orange felt blessed pumpkin from this little mini wood bead wreath from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. So I'm just going to borrow this and get some more twine so that we can tie this onto our pumpkin stem ourselves. I use this, and I also use a little burlap bow that is on that as well, and just leaving the orange wood bead wreath for a later DIY. I just tied the twine around the little pumpkin stem like that, trimming it up a little bit. It's so cute. I thought I had this bow, I might as well use it. So I just popped that off the wood wreath. And then we can just attach it here to decorate the top of our pumpkin. I was trying to decide which side I wanted it on. And I kind of like it a little bit better here on the front where you can see it. So we're just going to hot glue that in place right there on the pumpkin stem. And I really think that is all that you need. I thought about using the wood bead wreath there for the base instead of the wood slice, but I think the wood slice is probably a little bit more stable. And this is how it turned out, our little corn husk pumpkin. It was more work than I thought it was going to be, but I think it turned out really unique and cool. So here it is. And you know, if you're decorating with corn husks, you can always dye them as well with just regular dye. That would be a fun thing to do as well.
I did that on some of my Thanksgiving DIYs last year where I dyed them blue to use for like mermaid corn and for turkey feathers.
Okay, the next DIY, we're going to take a Dollar Tree pumpkin. I wanted something that looked a little bit more realistic than the foam pumpkins, and this one's actually really pretty. It's kind of an orangish red. It's painted nicely. Just going to pop the stem off of it, and what we're going to do is kind of make this into a little pumpkin vase. I grabbed some wheat also from the grocery store. That was about $3 for that big bundle of wheat, and I thought we could do a really fun floral arrangement in this little pumpkin. So I'm just going to start gathering some of the wheat here. They're way longer than I need them to be, so I am going to have to kind of trim those down to size. And I thought we could just put them right inside the foam pumpkin. Now, the only thing I noticed about that is that just like before with the foam pumpkin, it was really kind of tippy. And I thought once I fill this in with all my florals, it's definitely going to fall over. So I start my plan to try to weight it down. Now, my first plan was to I thought it was hollow inside, and it wasn't really hollow to my surprise. So I try to cut as large of a hole in there as I can. And then I'm just using Dollar Tree pebbles to try to weigh it down. Now, I don't know if this really did any good because I did have to use something else a little bit later in the DIY, but I did try to fill it up with pebbles a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and start gathering my wheat again. I'm basically cutting off about half of the stem, and I want to use a combination of like that real wheat, some fall flowers, and some cat's tails from Dollar Tree to make a really beautiful floral display. So I'm just starting to do all the wheat first. As you can see, it still kind of wants to fall over, which is why I did have to weigh it down some more. I'm always looking for ways to weigh stuff down like this because I don't want a project to be something that's going to be falling over all the time. So kind of piece by piece, trying to fill that out. I think that's pretty good. And these are the little cat's tails that I got at the Dollar Tree. These are brown. I think the colors are going to be perfect. I don't really want any of the greenery on there. I think it's a little too green for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take the cattail itself, and I'm actually going to stab that down into the foam by making a little hole with its wire. Now I have a total of 5 of these, and we're going to go ahead and use all of them. As you can see, I'm just kind of alternating these out, kind of on a row underneath of where the wheat is, because the wheat is all in the center of the pumpkin. And then I want the last piece to be longer, so I try to get as much of the wire as I can with that, so I can put that right in the middle and it'll be nice and tall, standing above everything else. Now to cover up the base and to clean it up and also add more decor, we're also going to add some of those fall flowers. But first I thought maybe a few more pieces of wheat. And I just wanted to look nice and full and even, just kind of spreading those out a little bit as well. And then the flowers are going to kind of fill in where I kind of stabbed the pumpkin with the cattails and clean everything up. These are the only fall flowers that I have. They are marigolds. I think that the color on these are perfect. And they have little stems on them if you take them off carefully, and you can just attach them to the pumpkin by pushing that stem right into the foam. You don't even have to use hot glue or anything. So I'm going to do a total of 3. I think that's going to be plenty to fill that all in. And I think this turned out so pretty. If you had a larger pumpkin, you could always do this on a bigger scale. And then I decided to switch some of the bigger Dollar Tree rocks, and I just poked a hole in the bottom and shoved one of those in to weigh down the bottom of the pumpkin, and that really helped. That worked way better than my first method. And this is how it turned out. Our little fall floral arrangement in a Dollar Tree pumpkin. I think this is so sweet. You could use this as a centerpiece if you wanted. Be really pretty if you did that, if you did it maybe on a little bit larger scale, but this would totally work as well. So you can totally use a combination of real and faux flowers in an arrangement like this, and it can turn out great.
But I gotta say, I really prefer the real wheat like that. So if you can find it, you should craft with it. I think it should hold up well too because it is dried out, but how beautiful is this DIY?
Okay, the next DIY, I think this is new this year. I've never seen them, but this year at Dollar Tree, they have fox signs. So I wanted to see if I could do a really cool take on the little fox sign from Dollar Tree. So the first thing I do is just remove the hanger and fill the little hole in with a little spackle. I want to paint the squirrel to look like a fox, but I also wanted to have fur like a fox. So I'm going to use that Dollar Tree pampas grass that you saw there in the fall colors, and this turned out so fun. But the first step is to paint it. So I'm just going over the entire fox sign with white acrylic, and the fox is going to have some white parts, so that will be good for that. It has the raised tip of the foxtail and the raised top part of its head, also like the raised eyes and one of the little fox legs. Now, like a fox's eyes are really like in the orange part, not necessarily the white part, but I know that a lot of signs design it this way. Now, I was trying to match that pampas grass that I got at Dollar Tree, so I used a little golden sunset mixed with a little bit of orange for my perfect fox color. And then I'm just going to go in and start painting this. It's a little tricky when you get to the little bump out parts there, trying not to get like orange paint all over them. But I can always touch them up if I do. So I just start with a little foxtail. They kind of have like a little white area of fluffy fur that comes down on their chest. So I do kind of like a triangular shape there. I'm going to leave that white and then paint the little fox body, that beautiful gold color. And then also this little bump out part here where his ears and the top of his head, that beautiful golden color. I did get a little paint on the white, but I'm just going to go in with my baby wipe and kind of clean that up and touch it up with some more white paint. So if you're a little bit neater of a painter than me, then you might not get any on there, but I did have to touch it up a little bit there. Now it's time to do the rest of it. I kind of wanted it to look fluffy here for the little chest of the fox. So I do like a little graduated look, and then I'm also going to use that same golden color for his eyes. Now I'm going to give him his little black fox boots because I want him to look really super cute. So I just kind of give it a regular edge at the top, kind of like you would see on fur. And then also this little foot that's peeking out is going to be black too. Now the eyes were a little tricky because they were shaped kind of uniquely. I didn't know if they wanted me to do like closed eyes or open eyes. So I did the golden. I tried to outline it with a paint pen, but I thought it was too thick. So I went back and did it with a black Sharpie. It's going to give me a little bit finer line here. And then I'm also going to give little like kind of square pupils. And I can do that with a black paint pen to make them a little bit darker. And then I'm going to give him a little tiny fox nose right here underneath where the little bump out part is. I just do a little black triangle And I want it to go all the way up and meet the golden, so I use a little tiny brush and some black paint to help fill that in a little bit. I don't want to give him a super big nose, just something nice and cute there, and I want it to look like a little triangle. I think he's looking super cute. I'm going to give a little like white reflection here in the pupil of his eye just to give that a little bit more character. And now it's time for fox fur. So this is the pampas grass that we're going to use. I got one sprig of this color and I thought it would be perfect for a fox fur. I don't know why I thought that, but I just did. So I'm just going to take one piece of the pampas grass at a time. And then I'm just going to remove the pampas grass to make it look like fur. I try to just do half of it and then a bundle of it. Try to get a good control of that. And then just start using some hot glue here on the little foxtail and start gluing that down. I'm going to do kind of like fur similar to the sisal that we used on the raccoon, where it kind of overlaps a little bit. And it all kind of goes in one direction. And I'm just hot gluing that all in place. Now, when you're first putting it on there, it kind of looks like a mess because you're going around all these different angles. But just remember, you can always go back and give it a trim and it's going to make it look cleaner. Now, I painted it orange underneath because, of course, there's going to be lots of areas where there isn't any of the fur. So you're going to be able to see that through there. And I think they complement each other nicely. I think we did a good job there on the color. So just going to cover the rest of his body here, letting a little bit extra fluff come down on his chest like a little fox. And then we're going to start here on the head, making the fur kind of go back towards the back of the head. And I don't give a lot of details to his ears. He's just going to have furry little fox ears. And I pretty much used the entire piece of pampas grass until I got enough to cover it all up. I don't want the hot glue to be real noticeable, so I try to like clean up any like glue strings and stuff like that we might have. And now it's time. He needs a little fox trim. So I'm going to go in with my scissors and cut around the shape of the fox sign to cut off any of the fur that's too long or overlapping things too much. And then I'm also going to trim it up a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. I kind of like the extra fluff here on his little chest. And I didn't really think that you got like the white fur effect that I wanted for the fox chest. So I am going to add to that to make it look a little fluffier there. But just going to go ahead and trim his head, just going around the shape of that little bump out. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. I just want him to look really furry like a fox. I'm so glad I decided to add the pampas grass to this guy because I think he has so much character now. I just absolutely love him. So once I got the shape all cut out, I just go in and trim here and there, wherever I think he needs a little bit of a trim. And then I want to take this and put it on another sign to kind of make a little bit more of a more substantial piece. And I couldn't decide at first what I wanted to put it on, so I thought I would make him first and then decide from there. Now this is what I'm going to use for the fluff for his chest. This is the white automotive towel from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take a little piece here and cut a little triangular piece for his little fluffy fox chest. So I just kind of cut that down to size of his neck and then cut a triangular shape. And then I also want it to look fluffy. So I just do little cuts along the sides to give it that extra little fluffy furry look. And this is already a really kind of fluffy fabric. And then I'm just going to hot glue that right there underneath the little fox head, kind of overlapping our little pampas fur. And then I decided to do it on a Dollar Tree wood round. I think that's going to be a really nice size. And I found these great placemats on clearance at Target the other day. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hanger. I don't really like the hanger that comes on those. Replace that with some twine so that I can knot it in the front. So I just use Dollar Tree twine, feed it through, knot it in the front. And then we're going to use one of those great placemats from the Dollar Tree for the front. not the Dollar Tree, actually from Target. These were on clearance for $1.80 at my Target in the kitchen section, and you get 2. So they're only 90 cents a piece, so cheaper than the Dollar Tree. But look at this great fabric. I went back today to get more. I'd grabbed 2 packages of them before, and I wish I would have grabbed more because I absolutely loved crafting with these. So cool. I'm going to kind of use mine upside down. I like the texture on the bottom a little better, and it's larger than I need for the wood round sign. Now, I do have those knots coming through with the hanger, so I decided just to go ahead and kind of include that in my design. Because there's holes in this, I can just kind of feed the little knot through. So instead of a bump, I actually have like the rope coming through, and I'll just add another little texture to the front of my sign. So I just kind of find out where that is. Then using like a little Cricut weeder, I just kind of feed that through. And then we can start attaching this. I do half of it at a time because I don't want my hot glue to set up. So I do the top half. I just line this up. I'm going to have a couple extra rows around the edges to cut off. And then I want to go ahead and hot glue the bottom half on. And this was so easy to trim. This is why I went back today trying to find more of these. Maybe I should go to a Target in another town because I want more of these. I think these would be great for coastal crafting. Also great for fall crafting. So I just trimmed that down to the size of my wood round from the Dollar Tree, and it looks so much more high-end now. And I think that's going to provide a really cute backdrop for this beautiful little furry fox. And he's going to fit on there just perfectly. I thought about adding a word to it, but I decided I just wanted maybe a few fall touches. So this is how he looks on there. Isn't that so darling? And all I have to do is attach it. So I'm just going to hot glue him straight to the placemat. I use a lot of hot glue because I don't want him falling off. And then there's a little bit of area to the right of his head there where I do have some room for some fall touches, but this is what he looks like so far. I decided to use those same fall leaves that we used on our little raccoon pumpkin with like the 2 different colors. They complement the fox really nicely. So I'm just going to do 2. I just cut the stems off of them, and I'm just going to hot glue them right next to him, just kind of alternating the colors. And it gives it just a little touch of fall for our little fox sign. Look how cute he turned out. I'm absolutely in love with this little guy as well. So here's our little pampas grass furry fox using supplies from the Dollar Tree and a clearance placemat from Target. He's so cute. I'm so glad I decided to give him little black boots there. I think that's so fun. Now for the next DIY, I just picked up a little fall vase. This one's orange. It doesn't matter what color it is because I'm taking it outside and giving it a good spray paint. 1 coat with that metallic gold spray paint, and look how beautiful the vase looks now. Now I want to use some fall greenery. Everything was from Dollar Tree except for 1 piece there I see from the Dollar Spot. To arrange them, I just take some Dollar Tree sand and fill up my vase, about 2/3 full. Now this is the special pampas grass that they got in for fall. It's very gold, and I think it's really beautiful. I'm going to take 2 of the Dollar Tree pampas grass in gold and just arrange those in the back. They're nice and tall, so they're going to be great for the back. And then I picked up some of this fall foliage from the Dollar Tree. It's like a gold leaf and an ivory leaf together with some berries, and I think that's going to go together nicely. Now, some of my leaves were all bent up, and a couple of you guys told me a great trick is just to use your heat gun to give them a quick iron, and look, you can even do it once you've got your arrangement together. Now, this piece did come from the Dollar Tree. It was only $1. But it was metallic gold little palm frond. I thought that would be a fun little piece to throw in the front of this little gold fall floral display, just for a little bit of fun. I think that piece and that gold garland that I got from Target at Dollar Spot were my inspiration for the gold glam look that we're doing today. Just giving this a quick arrangement. This was so easy to put together, and I absolutely love how the little vase turned out. in the metallic gold. I'm going to try to show you without dumping any sand out, but I can show you even better here. Those fall leaves and that pampas grass go so beautifully together. And then the little surprise of the gold palm frond is so fun as well. And look how beautiful that vase is. I think it's so much prettier than when it was orange.
I love the metallic gold. I did a whole video of metallic gold fall DIYs last year. I think it's a really fun color.
Okay, so the next DIY, I wanted to make an owl leaf wreath. So I'm just going to use one of these little wire reforms. I chose the medium size one, but you could do any size you want. And I want to make a cool like leaf wreath that looks like an owl. So I tried to like bend it into an oval shape. And unfortunately, it kind of broke right there at the seam on the bottom. But that's okay. I don't think that's really going to be important. I did try to like hot glue it back together, but I think once we get it all assembled, it's going to stay together anyway. But I kind of wanted that like upside down teardrop shape for our owl. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be an open reef or a closed reef, and I couldn't really decide. So I decided to use this like rug backer from Dollar Tree to make it have a back, but then it'll be see-through, right? This stuff's really fun to craft with because it's got this cool texture, and a lot of times I use it for like, fishing nets or stuff like that for coastal crafting. But I think this is going to be fun on this. Just another little fun texture. And I just hot glue it all the way around. I just cut the square a little bit larger than the reef. But once I get it all glued down, then I can trim off all the excess rug backer just by cutting around the wire. And you don't have to get it too close because we're going to be covering that with the little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I think that's going to look like the sides of the owl and the tail and kind of fill it out and give it that shape of an owl. So I went to Dollar Tree today and they had these burlap leaves in the fall section in all different colors. So I got tan, I got red, I got green, I got like gold or that orange color. I was so impressed with how many colors they had. So we're going to use all of them. We're going to make this little owl reef super colorful. Now, they do have wire on them. And at first I thought about like actually using the wire to string it to them, but they're actually easier to hot glue on. So that's what we're going to do. I just used a little twine now while I could to make a little hanger for a wreath because then that part will be covered up. So it's just a matter of removing the wire from the back. I mean, you could try to string it with the wire, but you're going to have to go in and out of the mesh if you use any kind of a backing on the back of your wreath. I'm going to start right here at the tail and just hot glue down one of the little tan burlap leaves. I think these are so cool. These are like the, I guess, oak leaves. They also have the larger ones that are maple. I don't craft with them as much just because I feel like they're a little bit too large. But I just do one on each side. That way it's kind of symmetrical. And then I can switch colors. I'm going to switch up to these red ones. And I'm going to hot glue like half the leaf there and then have like the other half like overlapping the tan. I'm trying to give the appearance of feathers but using leaves. So I thought that would be fun for fall. I switch it up and we're going to do green next. And that takes us like 3/4 of the way up our little owl wreath and then orange for the top. And if you can't find all these colors, I think if you could find maybe just a couple, you could get the same effect. I think this would also be really cute with the leather leaves. You can see I had some there in case I decided to use them, but I didn't really have a great variety of those. Then for the owl eyes, I'm going to use these fall flowers from the Dollar Tree. I think they look like really fun owl eyes. And then I can use some more of those burlap leaves for the little ear tufts for our little owl. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the wire from 2 more of those. I'm going to go back to that tan color since I haven't used that since the very bottom. And then just hot glue those and filling out the remaining part of our little wreath there, avoiding the hanger. And now we have our little owl eyes. I can just kind of poke those through the netting, hot gluing that to the back. Those were super easy to attach. I'm going to do one on each side. I think it's a fun way to do owl eyes with the flowers because they definitely resemble that. And I just hot glue them in place, just giving them a little bit of time to set up. Now, the only thing I have left to do on my little owl, this was so easy to put this little owl wreath together, is it needs a little owl beak. And I thought a really fun thing to use for an owl beak would be to use a Dollar Tree acorn. So I picked a nice long one, and then we're just going to hot glue that onto the material on the back of the wreath. Right there where a little owl beak would be. And it's a very kind of abstract kind of owl, but I think when you look at it, you can tell what it is supposed to be. It was definitely an easy owl fall DIY, but I think it turned out really cute. I love that the flowers for the owl eyes are burlap too. So I've got like all these fall colors of burlap all mixed together, fall flowers, an acorn, everything kind of screams fall, but I think it definitely looks like an owl. And you know, you could totally make this larger. This is kind of the mini version, if you will, because I kind of use the medium size. It's not too large, but I thought this would make a really fun wall hanging for my home for fall. What do you guys think about my little burlap leaf owl wreath? I love him. I think he's really fun. Okay, the next DIY, I found these great long feather signs from the Dollar Tree. So I picked up 3 of the signs that were all different. They have different kinds of light wood, dark wood, and even white on them. And I thought if we put all 3 of the giant feather signs together, we could make a really fun fall display. And I want to, again, add a little bit of that gold glam vibe to it. So I have to kind of figure out how I want to add the gold to them. I decided that stem that goes down the middle of each one of the feathers is a kind of a no-brainer of something to make gold on these. And so I'm just using a small brush and some metallic gold acrylic paint again, and trying to stay within the lines. But I followed it up with a baby wipe. It did a good job. I tried to switch to maybe a little bit smaller brush here. Now, this was the only giant feather sign out of the 3 that had like the different parts of the stem going off on the sides. I wish they all did, because I think that's a cool effect, and that is a great place to add the gold besides just the center vein of the leaf. But I don't know if feathers are necessarily fall, but they totally looked fall to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and just paint those little side sections as well. Again, trying to stay in the lines if I can. But I thought like the 2-tone wood looks really pretty on its own. So we're going to go ahead and leave that. And again, if you really want that gold metallic look, you are going to have to go over them a couple of times. Now this one does not have the side parts. It's only got like the stem here going down the center of the feather. And so basically that's all the gold bling that's going to go on this one. But I think it's enough just to give it a little bit of class and color. And finally, the third one is like the dark wood and the light wood together. No white, no side stripes on this one either. So I'm just going to do the middle vein of the feather on this one as well, painting that with the gold metallic. And then I thought we could bundle all 3 of these leaves together at the top and really make a really fun, beautiful wall display that's actually pretty large. Have you guys seen these feather signs at your Dollar Tree? I was really excited to find them. I definitely wanted one of each. I just wanted them all to be different, just for a little bit of variety. But I kind of wish I had got more, because I think they're so lovely. Now, again, you do have to go back in with a second coat of that gold acrylic to get that nice gold shine. So I'm going to go ahead and update these last 2 that I did with just a second coat. This one was a lot easier because you just have to go down the center of them. And and maybe a little touch up on this one as well. And then I'll show you how I put all three of these together, and I think they look so pretty. Now, that one is my favorite one, so that one's definitely going to go on top. Then I can kind of arrange the other two to kind of come out from the sides and from behind and overlap everything like that. I'm going to use the center one because that makes more sense, and take some Dollar Tree twine and simply tie a hanger on right now while I can still kind of get to that one. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be the two back ones to be flat like that. It's going to make it bigger, but I don't like the way it lays as well, or if I wanted to overlap. So I decided just to overlap them. So I'm just going to find out what part overlaps, put a little bit of hot glue on the back in those two spots and overlap that slightly. And then this one's going to be the top one. So it's going to overlap with that one that we just put on here, because that's the tallest one at this point, to kind of keep everything level. Then I just tie a knot on the hanger that's kind of threaded through the other one, so it'll hang back behind it, kind of hidden. And then I want it to look like it's all tied together with a bow. So again, I'm going to use some of that burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree with the gold border and tie a simple little knot so we can make a really fun little bow for the top of this. Something simple, something with a little bit of gold. And you know, I'm just noticing now that I missed one of the little side pieces that I could have painted gold on that top feather. So you know I'm going to go back and add some more gold to that. Can't believe I didn't notice that. See how I did the two to the one side, but I forgot the one on the other side? And then I just hot glue that little bow to the top to make them look like they're all kind of gathered together at the top. And this is how it turned out. Yeah, that's really bothering me now. I'm going to have to go back and add that other gold stripe in there. I can't believe I forgot that. Oh, well. This is what it looks like so far with the metallic gold accents added to the giant wood feathers from the Dollar Tree. I think they're so pretty and interesting. And I think they really do look nice for fall. And then let me show you how that looks from a distance. Now they have a couple of these like little felt owls at Dollar Tree right now. This one's a little bit smaller. It's like a little owl kit. You could probably do it with the larger one too. I don't really need any of the little pieces that came with it because I think they're all kind of cartoonish, and I want to make like a really cool owl wall hanging, but I want it to look more high end with like burlap and stuff like that. And these bright colors and the felt and stuff like that just doesn't look that way. So I am going to use the little owl part though as a template. I do kind of have to cut off the little feathers for the part of the owl here that doesn't really go. And that is going to be the back of our wall hanging. I want to do like a really fun like burlap owl wall hanging, kind of a plushy kind of thing. And for the burlap, I'm going to use one of these little burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these. It's like a synthetic burlap, so it doesn't fray. Super easy to cut. It's like coated with like a light plastic there on the back. And it works great for crafting. It's not quite big enough to cover the entire owl, so I'm going to do it in two pieces. I'm going to go from like the neck down here, and I'm just tracing this out with a Sharpie on the back of our burlap bag. Then I'm just going to go in and cut that out. Now, I cut it out a little smaller than I actually wrote on there so that I could have a little bit of a felt border around the edges. And that's just how I'm going to put it together later. I kind of thought that would be necessary. So I have a little bit of a felt edge there. So I'm going to use the other side of the burlap bag here to cut out the little owl head. I do go around the little ear tufts there on the owl, but I end up actually not cutting that part out. I tried, but I couldn't really get it to line up very well, and I had a different idea for the little ear tufts anyway, but I went ahead and cut them out initially. So that is going to be like the burlap front of our little wall hanging. And this is going to be kind of like a plushie. I'm going to use it as a wall hanging, but I suppose you could kind of sit it up against something and kind of just use it as a small pillow or a plushie. I think my son is going to actually want this because this is his mascot. Owls are his mascot for college, and he's been asking for a DIY, so I can see him wanting this one because it turned out so cute. So I am just going to start hot gluing the burlap to the front of our brown felt. The felt is kind of like our template, kind of the back. It's not that pretty. So that's just going to be the back of our little owl. And then we're going to go ahead and cover the top. Have a little bit more of an overlap here than I really need. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue this part on. I did glue it shut there at the bottom, kind of forgetting that I was going to stuff it. So I do open that back up here in a little bit to put a little bit of pillow fluff in there. Now, this was my idea for the little ear tufts, was to make just a little tassel. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, wrap it around 3 fingers, then just tie that off just so I'll have like, you know, a little fringy little ear tuft here for this owl. And I'm just going to glue that on there, sticking like straight up. And I am going to go in and cut like the knot off of the little tassel. I just really wanted the fringe of the twine for the little ear tuft to make it look nice and fluffy. I don't know at this point that you can even really tell this is an owl because the shape doesn't really look that much like an owl to me. But in the end, it turns out really cute. So I just go ahead and make a little tiny tassel here for the other side, trying to make it about the same size, hot gluing that on to the little felt ear tuft there. And then just trimming off the knot, I can like flip it over. I can trim that down a little bit because it's a little bit wild at this point. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Doesn't need to be quite that crazy. But I do want it longer than the little ear tufts behind it so you can't really see it. Now, these are wood craft rings from the Dollar Tree. These are the larger ones that come in a 2-pack, and I thought they'd make really fun owl eyes. Now, my camera died, but all I did was take an ink pen and trace around the inside of the little wood ring so we know where to paint the eyes. I didn't really want to order eyes or anything for this, so I thought we could paint this and get a really fun effect. So I didn't really want like a stark white on this. So I'm just going in with like an ivory acrylic paint and trying my best to paint a little circle that will be kind of underneath the little wood rings. And then I'm also going to do like a little owl eye on there once I get it painted ivory. That's just going to be like the white part of the eye. Now for the little wood rings, I thought they would look really good stained. So I'm just going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly. I'm going to go all over the front and the back, wiping off the excess stain with a paper towel. Just because it's kind of 3D, you might be able to see a little bit of the back, the way they're going to stick on there. And I think this is going to give our owl these big owl eyes that owls are so famous for, right? Now, this is when I remembered that I probably shouldn't have sealed that shut. So I just used my heat gun just to kind of open up my hot glue right there. And then I'm going to use this Harvest Gold acrylic paint here just to paint some nice yellow owl eyes. I just kind of do a circular shape. Trying to keep them kind of even, maybe looking off to the side a little bit. And then once that's dry, I go in first with a Sharpie to try to like outline the eye and do the pupil. I was kind of having trouble getting my Sharpie to work. I do like the texture that you get from using a Sharpie on this, but it didn't really want to work too well on the eyes. So I'm going to follow that up with a black paint pen and just do a pupil and like outline the little owl eyes. Now for his little owl beak, I thought I would use one of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree in orange. I just wanted some orange burlap. And I'm just going to cut that down to size and give me a nice little owl beak right here in between the eyes. I just attach it here at the base with a little dot of hot glue so it kind of sticks out a little bit, gives a little bit of a 3D appearance to our little owl. And now it's time to stuff this little guy. I just have some pillow fluff from an old pillow. And I am going to stuff the body first and then stuff the head. I kind of glued the feet shut, so they really didn't get very much stuffing, but I think that's okay. I just try to make the stuffing kind of as thin and flat as possible so it kind of looks, kind of level, but I just do want it to be nice and fluffy. And then I'm just going to use hot glue to seal that back shut with the burlap on top of the burlap. Then to kind of cover that, I thought we would give it kind of a touch of fall with like a fall ribbon. This is like the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon with the little pumpkins on there. And I thought that'd be fun to give it a little fall touch. So I'm just going to hot glue that over the seam. And then we'll just kind of make that into a cute little owl scarf. If I do give this to my son, I'll have to switch out the little scarf here, maybe for some of his school colors. That would be really cute. My son is away at college, and we did visit him last weekend. We went to a college football game with him, and he came home for Labor Day weekend. It was so great having him around. I really miss that kid. So I did want it to look like a little bit of a scarf, so I just cut 2 more pieces of that same ribbon, and I'm just going to glue them here, kind of like it's tied around his little neck. Just a little fun detail, and it covers up that seam, which was kind of necessary. Now for his owl eyes, I think the little wood rings are dry. They really make the eyes stand out, I think. I'm going to use hot glue on the inside and just glue those straight to the front of the burlap. And those are some big owl eyes. I think that's a fun effect. Owl eyes are always a fun thing to do. Now for the seam around the edges, I wanted to have a stitched appearance. So I thought some of this burlap trim from the Dollar Tree would be really cute, specifically the little squiggly ones. I think that's going to make it look kind of like hand stitched, just a fun little vibe to go with the burlap. And so I am just going to start hot gluing that all the way around. Now, when I got to the little feet of the owl, it got a little tricky. So I did have to cut down just like little pieces to go back and forth on all of the toes. And then I can always trim that up later. And I just hot glue those on. It was easier than trying to get that ribbon to kind of go around all of those crazy angles. And I love these burlap trims from the Dollar Tree. They have 3 different kinds on a package though. You only get 1 yard of each kind. And so 1 yard was not enough to go all the way around the owl. So I did have to open up another package so I could continue the same cool burlap trim. And see that, like the effect that's giving it. I think it really gives it a fun little country vibe maybe. I'm going to stop right here, right before the ear fluff, and then open another package and keep continuing gluing that all around our little owl head. And I think he turned out really cute. What do you guys think about this little burlap owl? Starting with that little kit from the Dollar Tree, I think he looks way more high end. I think he's super cute. I'm going to trim up his little toes. I guess they're claws, owl claws. And I'm also going to cut a little piece of that ribbon right here just to kind of make that look a little bit nicer there where the little scarf would be tied. And that's when I was trying to decide if I was going to make him a hanging decoration, and I thought that would be the best. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, tie a little knot in it, and I'm just going to hot glue that to the back here of our little owl head. And our first owl DIY is complete, our little burlap owl. Isn't he fun? I have to find a special place to display him. Here he is, his big owl eyes and all. He definitely looks like an owl now. And I love that he has a little pumpkin scarf around his neck, a little touch of fall. And again, I think owls for fall is a really fun theme.
He turned out very whimsical, which I think is actually kind of fun.
Now, the next item we're going to try to do from Kirkland's are these Happy Fall plaid wood pumpkins. We're just going to do one of them. I thought we could do the one that says, "Let's get cozy."
and they're regularly $59.99 for this set at Kirkland's. And we're going to do the same thing with one of these Dollar Tree wood pumpkins. It's got the same wood bump out sections on the front as those, so we can just totally make this our own. So I'm just going to remove the little raffia that was on there and any hot glue, and we can start painting this pumpkin to kind of make it look like the original. The original had like a ivory or white background, and then it had fall plaid on the bump out parts. Now they must have designed that plaid for that, because I could not find a fall plaid anywhere near that fall plaid. So it must be a custom design that they used. So I just found a fall plaid that was as close as I could get to it. And we're going to try to make it work. But I just go over the whole pumpkin, front panels, back panels, everything with ivory. Just because it's inevitable, you're going to get it on the front pieces anyway. You might as well make them look uniform by having everything be the same color. Now here is the plaid image that I designed. The colors are similar. The pattern is similar. It's got a little bit more going on than theirs, but I think we can get pretty close with it. And I will share that free printable too. I just printed this one out on regular paper because I wanted to be able to sand it easily around these little pumpkin sections. And we're just going to Mod Podge it here to those sections all at once. That way the design will continue from one piece to the next, and I don't have to worry about lining it all up. So I just put it on top of all three of the little pumpkin sections and dry that on there. Now it's a matter of trying to kind of feel the little area between the sections. And then I just used a razor blade to kind of cut my paper so that I have like 3 different little pieces of paper, so that we can then sand the paper down and get exact cuts for those little pumpkin sections. I'm going to use my little finger sander. The finger sander is kind of key for this. I got mine at Target, I think, because you can really get in between the little pumpkin sections. And as you can see, it will give you a perfect cut on that little raised section. And this is definitely the easiest way I have found to decorate the front parts of these with paper. And I'm really glad I decided to do it all at one time too, so I didn't have to worry about lining up that intricate plaid pattern. So we got our first section. We're just going to keep doing the same thing, just sanding until it kind of breaks away here all on its own. And go over this little section here. And the original piece that we're duping from Kirkland's was a standing pumpkin like this. This was a hanging sign, but we're just going to convert this and make it a standing sign, so it'll be closer to the original. And we're even going to make a little tag to hang down in front like the original too. So here is our final section, sanded to perfection. I am going to touch up a little bit of my ivory paint. I might have like kind of bumped here and there with the sandpaper. And I thought my pattern was a little bold. I'll show you how I tone it down in just a second. I do want to make sure it's good and sealed first though. So I do go over the top with more Mod Podge, working in thin coats because again, I use just regular printer paper for this. And I will share this plaid printable with you as well if you want to DIY with this. It's basically the same size as this sheet of paper. Once I got that dry, I decided to go over it with ivory, acrylic, a very thin coat, following that up with a wet baby wipe to kind of give me a whitewash. Because again, this was a lot bolder pattern than the original. So I was trying to tone down the color a little bit if I could. But if you like your plaid design, you know, that step is totally optional. But I really kind of like the plaid look on the pumpkin. Very fall. It reminds me of a fuzzy like flannel shirt. Now, these are the tags that we're going to use. These are the little wood tags from Dollar Tree. It's a little bit different shape than the original, but it's got a hole to hang it, so I think it'll work perfectly. So I just paint my tag with ivory acrylic, the same color that we painted the back of the pumpkin. And you can use your Cricut for the word on there. I'm just going to freehand it just because
I didn't really want to use my Cricut again. I'm not a big fan of weeding small letters. It can be a big issue. I also add another layer of whitewash on here just to tone down that plaid a little bit more. Kind of make it look hazy like that. And old, which is kind of the look I was going for. Now for the tag, I decided I didn't have a brown Sharpie, but I had a gold one. So I'm just going to freehand on here what it said on this original. It said, let's get cozy. Let's get in smaller case letters and then cozy all in caps. Now I noticed that my gold combined with the ivory paint really kind of looked gray. So I switched to my bronze Sharpie. I have so many Sharpie colors. I love them. And just sketched it out again. And then I distressed that with a little ivory to make it look not so much like marker and a little bit more distressed. And it would be more perfect with a Cricut, but hey, we're going with it. Now, for the leaves, the only leaves that I had from the Dollar Tree were these little burlap leaves. I think they're so cute. And so that's what we're going to use for our pumpkin leaves. I think they had metal leaves on the original piece, but we're going to do 2 with the little burlap leaves. I think that's going to go nicely right there on this side of the pumpkin stem. It's also going to cover the hanger hole, which we don't need anymore. So I just hot glue those to the pumpkin stem. I absolutely love those little burlap leaves and flowers they have now. I've been crafting with those a lot. Now they just hung their little tag straight directly in the front, in the center. So I'm going to do the same just by taking some Dollar Tree twine and looping this through and knotting it off, hanging it about the same area as the original. And I'm just going to do that by hot gluing the little knot right here, kind of where the little burlap leaves come together, and let that dangle down in front. They also had like a little rope bow, so I decided to kind of get a similar look by using that same twine from the Dollar Tree, tying a very simple little bow and attaching that with hot glue right there where all of that kind of comes together. Now it's time to make a base. I'm going to use some of the little Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 6 of them. Sometimes they come in the variety where some of them are like this dark brown color. So I'm going to glue 3 of them side to side like that for the back. And then I'm going to do the same thing here for the front. It's going to give me a little custom stand that's just the right size for a pumpkin. And it's actually strong enough to make it stand up on its own. I don't really like the color of them like that. So I decided to kind of paint and distress mine to kind of make them look like wood. So I kind of try to fill in my cracks between the different pieces with a little bit of spackle. You still can kind of see it, but I'm fine with that. So to get the wood look, I just go over them with ivory, distressing that brown color first, and kind of wiping off the excess there with a paper towel, kind of give a whitewash look to start with. And since there's no wood grain on there, I'm going to follow that up with some Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush to kind of give me a faux wood grain. And it just kind of made the little stand look a lot better. And you definitely don't have to have the darker pieces. You could totally do the same thing with the lighter ones. I just never use the darker ones, so I thought I might as well use them because I have them. So I'm going to put hot glue here along my back stand and hot glue along my front stand. Then I'm going to sandwich my pumpkin in between. Kind of have to act quickly and squeeze it all together, making sure that like your pumpkin is standing right up. You kind of want it leaning back slightly because you don't want it to tip over. And you kind of have to hold it until it dries enough to set up. And then I also decided to add a little extra hot glue in the gaps on the bottom just to make it a little bit stronger. And that's it to our little Kirkland's Let's Get Cozy Pumpkin dupe. Again, I didn't get the plaid the same, but I think I got it pretty close. And I think it looks really cute for fall decor. Again, it reminds me of an old fuzzy flannel shirt that you'd wear in the fall or the winter. So I guess this could go from fall to winter, actually. And here was the original Happy Fall plaid wood pumpkin that I was trying to emulate from Kirkland's. And my Dollar Tree dupe. I think it's really cute. It was so easy to make. I love those little section pumpkins like that from the Dollar Tree. I'm always looking for ways to get creative in decorating those. And the little Jenga block stand worked perfectly. So our little Let's Get Cozy plaid pumpkin.
And now it's time for the final reveal. I really hope you enjoyed these 20 Dollar Tree fall DIYs today. I had a great time putting this video together. Be sure to let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. Enjoy!
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. That helps me so much here on YouTube. And I would like to give a huge thank you to my Crafty Beach Bum members. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Janae Farrington, Julie Miller, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Live Another Day, Tracy Wooldridge, Marin Christensen, Debbie Middleton, Adrian Brolt, Deborah Caldwell, Red Mama, Tammy Muir, and Donna Tanner. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being members. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button. It's just a quick, easy way for you to support me financially here on YouTube, and you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos. Would you like more fall Dollar Tree DIYs? Be sure to check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting!